that, I want to bring in our NewsNation congressional correspondent, Joe Khalil, as part of this conversation, because all the back and forth between Elon and the president today, at least the part that's been focused on the big, beautiful bill, I've gotten a little off track, is something certainly you'd be focused on Capitol Hill. And I was asking one of our guests earlier, is there any impact from this? But because, I know there's lawmakers on the fence. What are you picking up today on all this?
Yeah, I mean, to the extent that this really matters, Connell, more than just two very high-profile people going back and forth, the question is this going to impact the bill? People may forget, because it's really gotten off the rails here, but the disagreement at the heart of this sort of spat between the president and Elon Musk was about the bill, and that Elon thought it would add to the deficit. He said he thought that the spending cuts were minimal and needed to be more drastic. And President Trump really pushed back on that. So here you have this sort of unprecedented situation here. We did ask senators that question today, several of them. I want to just play two responses we got that are a little different, but I think basically what we're hearing from the conference more generally. One is from Senator Roger Marshall and the other from Senator Ron Johnson. And keep in mind, on that second bite from Senator Johnson, he's the one who has been saying all along that he agreed with Elon on his concerns over the fact that the deficit could potentially go up if the bill is passed. So take a listen to what we're hearing today from senators as all of this is playing out in the background.
It's a non-event. I don't care a bit what Elon is saying right now. We had an incredible positive meeting with the president yesterday. We've got a mountain here we're trying to climb, and we're not going to let anything get in our way. It's a lot different to be a CEO.
I think Elon Musk did a fabulous job with Doge. He exposed grotesque examples of waste, fraud, and abuse. He also exposed how clueless and oblivious Congress is. He paid a heavy price for it.
So, Connell, as you guys have been talking about the sort of tweets back and forth or the posts on X, they've sort of taken on a life of their own now, and that seems to have been the focus of the discussion. But when it comes to passing this one big, beautiful bill, there are obviously still some disagreements that Republicans say behind closed doors they're working out. We know President Trump has been involved directly. Several senators were meeting with the president last night at the White House. I say those talks are moving in the right direction, but slowly, progressively, still, it seems that the sort of attention today has been diverted because this sort of ongoing thing is actually still going on as they're posting on X. Not sure when that's going to wrap up.
Well, neither one of them then tends to go to bed early, so we could be in for it here, Khalil. You never know when it's going to wrap up. Let me ask you one thing about math, by the way, because you're right. It's gotten off the rails. I mean, everything from Jeffrey Epstein to threats about Musk's company, SpaceX. He just tweeted a moment ago, Musk did, the tariffs are going to cause a recession. All right, so they are still going. But let's just take some of what you heard from the senators at face value. Senator Marshall was saying none of this matters. But a guy like Senator Johnson does matter, right? We were talking, like Alex Gangitano from The Hill was on earlier. I was saying to her that The Hill was reporting that Johnson and Rand Paul look like no's, right? So if the math is basically if they're no's, you only need one more, or you got to make some real concessions, some real changes.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And I'll throw another layer of complication in here. They are, at the moment, no's. And I talked to Senator Johnson this morning one-on-one. He said that as the bill stands now from the House, he's a no on it. But he left the door open for negotiation to a point where he could get to yes if there are deeper spending cuts. The question is that if you get there for Johnson, for a point where he is comfortable voting yes, you may have to make deeper cuts. You may have to potentially make different reforms on things like there are Medicaid reforms now. And the question is, if you do that and get him to yes, do you then go so far that you may push others who are currently leaning yes to no? In other words, do some things become untenable? And remember, the math gets even more complicated when you consider it has to go back to the House.
Right.
So, there are these SALT deductions we've been talking about, right? If all of a sudden those go away and you get a bunch of senators on board, you may lose House members that are necessary to pass the bill too. That's why this is such a delicate dance for leaders negotiating.
I mean, passed in the House by 1 vote, right? So you can't really lose many unless somebody else, so that doesn't look good. All right, Joe, thank you as always.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.